The cafeteria trembled beneath Jackson Reeves as his body hurtled through the space. His form contorted unnaturally, limbs thrashing wildly, his expression locked in absolute fear. 300 students froze mid-bite, their utensils suspended as they witnessed the school's most intimidating bully smash into a lunch table. The sound of breaking wood reverberated throughout the walls. Raven McKnight remained motionless at the scene's epicenter. Her petite body barely shifted, a single hand still positioned defensively. Black locks cascaded across her features like a veil. Crimson marinara dripped from her garments onto the pristine linoleum. Drip, drip, drip. The sole noise filling the enormous space. Everyone held their breath. No one stirred. The sight seemed impossible to comprehend. Half a minute before, the situation had been entirely different. Jackson had walked confidently through the cafeteria with his characteristic arrogance, balancing an oversized tray piled with pasta, saturated in red sauce. His towering 6'2" build loomed over Raven's spot where she sat isolated as usual, nibbling a basic sandwich. "Time for the Phantom's daily bath," he'd proclaimed, his voice echoing across the room. The predictable pattern, everyone anticipated what would follow. They'd witnessed this ritual weekly for months. The noodles tumbled down like a crimson cascade, covering Raven's dark sweatshirt, her journal, her untouched applesauce, splattering her light complexion. She remained steady. She always remained steady. This made her the ideal victim. Then Jackson crossed a boundary even his prior targets hadn't faced. His hand reached forward, ostensibly to assist with the cleanup. His fingers pushed against her torso, groping through the drenched material. His lips came near her ear. "Your dad won't rescue you anymore," he murmured loudly enough for adjacent tables to detect. Everything shifted in that instant. Raven's gaze, typically lowered and vacant, shot open. Not displaying fear, not displaying humiliation, but revealing something entirely different, something that had lain dormant for 7 extended years. Her body flowed with an unnatural grace. One instant she was seated, drenched in sauce and degradation. The following instant she was upright, her hand catching Jackson's wrist with expert accuracy. The motion cascaded like liquid. Capture, secure, twist. 2.3 seconds. That's the duration it required for Westfield Private Academy's invincible golden child to transform from hunter to hunted. His limb contorted at an unnatural degree. The cry that erupted from his mouth resembled an animal more than a person. Currently, as emergency vehicles wailed nearby and devices recorded from every direction, a single question circulated through the assembly. Who truly was Raven McKnight? And what force had they just unleashed? Phoenix Delroy dropped his device, his hands trembling faintly. He'd only arrived at Westfield 3 days prior, yet he'd already decoded the social pecking order. Jackson Reeves occupied the summit, star player, offspring of Portland's leading psychiatrist, invincible, and Raven McKnight resided at the absolute bottom. The mute girl who dined in solitude, traveled in solitude, existed in solitude. "She's never retaliated," Zara Mitchell murmured nearby, her tone wavering. The cafeteria assistant had cautioned Phoenix about Jackson on day 1. Now she gazed at the spectacle with combined astonishment and what resembled optimism. "She's never even vocalized." Yet Phoenix had observed details others overlooked. The manner Raven navigated the corridors with intentional accuracy, never colliding with anyone despite maintaining a downward gaze. The military identification tags she concealed beneath her sweatshirt. He'd spotted them once when she'd stooped to retrieve a fallen book. The way her digits occasionally twitched in sequences that resembled combat patterns. "Summon the medical staff," someone eventually shouted, shattering the trance. The cafeteria exploded into disorder. Students scrambled for superior views while others retreated from the wreckage. Jackson twisted on the surface, protecting his mangled limb, his flawless features distorted in suffering. Raven hadn't shifted. She occupied the identical location, sauce continuing to drip from her garments, observing Jackson with those dark, inscrutable eyes. When security eventually arrived, she merely extended her wrists, prepared for whatever awaited. Everyone returned to instruction. Principal Morrison's voice resonated over the speaker system 5 minutes afterward. The cafeteria remains closed pending further examination. Yet nobody desired to depart. They just witnessed something impossible. The phantom girl, the nobody, the victim, the one who never resisted, had just demolished Westfield's supreme predator in under 3 seconds. Phoenix drew Zara aside as students departed reluctantly. You mentioned she never retaliates. What did that mean? Zara surveyed the area anxiously before responding. Jackson's been tormenting her since first year. Weekly, sometimes daily. Beverages, meals, whatever he could dump on her. She simply accepts it, sanitizes herself, and proceeds to instruction like nothing occurred. For 3 years, we all assumed she was simply damaged, you understand? Too frightened to resist. Too fragile. Zara's gaze drifted to where Raven was being escorted by security. But that technique she just executed, that wasn't standard self-protection training. That was something else. Phoenix nodded slowly. He'd identified it too. The efficiency, the regulated violence, the automatic response of someone trained for genuine combat. His uncle had served in special forces. He'd observed those identical movements in his basement gymnasium. There's additional information, Zara continued, her voice dropping further. Previous year I attempted to confront Jackson, instructed him to abandon the younger students. She rolled up her sleeve, exposing a faded mark along her forearm. He seized me in the corridor, claimed I tumbled down the staircase. His father ensured the surveillance recording vanished. I spent 14 days hospitalized. His father, Dr. Nathan Reeves, operates the Portland Psychiatric Institute. Major contributor to the institution, $3 million previous year alone. Zara's laughter contained zero amusement. That's why Jackson's invincible. Or was, at any rate. Phoenix's thoughts raced. A psychiatrist's offspring who'd mastered breaking people. A silent girl with concealed combat training. This extended deeper than typical scholastic bullying. I need to investigate something, he stated, already retrieving his laptop. Provide an excuse for me during next period. In the library. Phoenix's fingers danced across the keyboard. Dr. Nathan Reeves possessed an impressive curriculum vitae. Harvard Medical School. Published researcher, authority in behavioral modification. Yet dig slightly deeper and disturbing patterns surfaced. 3 lawsuits over the past 5 years, all resolved privately. Former patients alleging unethical treatment approaches. Experimentation with aggression catalysts. Then Phoenix discovered something that froze his blood. An Age News article from 7 years prior. Local Marine perishes in training incident. The attached photograph displayed a stern-faced man in formal blues. Yet it was the second photograph that arrested Phoenix's heart. The Marine with his family. A spouse, a young son, and a 9-year-old daughter with distinctive dark locks and solemn eyes. The daughter resembled exactly a younger version of Raven McKnight. Phoenix cross-referenced the names. Marine Sergeant Marcus McKnight specialized in close-quarters combat instruction, certified instructor in multiple martial arts disciplines, including something called Sistema, Russian martial art focused on efficiency and adaptation. Perished when his vehicle overturned during a training exercise at Fort Lewis. His daughter had been 13. The identical age when someone might cease training. The identical age when a girl might bury her abilities and become a phantom. Discovered something intriguing? Phoenix startled. Hunter Reeves stood behind him, Jackson's younger brother, freshman, nothing like his sibling. Where Jackson was all harsh angles and cruelty, Hunter seemed gentler, almost regretful for existing. Simply research for an assignment, Phoenix fabricated. Closing his laptop, Hunter seated himself uninvited. It concerns Raven, doesn't it? And what my brother executed? Phoenix examined the younger boy cautiously. Why do you care? Because I understand what he is. What our father created him into. Hunter's hands clenched and unclenched anxiously. You won't locate it in any official documentation, but Dad utilizes us as experimental subjects. His theories about regulated aggression, breaking thresholds, psychological dominance. Jackson was his prize student. You're claiming your father instructed him to be a predator? I'm claiming my father composed the manual. Hunter retrieved his phone, displaying Phoenix a video. I documented this previous month. Dad doesn't know I possess it. The video displayed Dr. Reeves in what appeared to be his home study, speaking to someone off camera. Jackson's voice responded occasionally. The conversation chilled Phoenix to his foundation. Dismantling someone is an art form, son. You identify their vulnerability, apply consistent pressure, intensify gradually. The key is making them complicit in their own destruction, making them believe they deserve it. That resisting would only worsen things. Like the Mitchell girl? Jackson's voice inquired. Precisely, though you were careless there. Physical evidence is amateur work. Psychological destruction leaves no bruises. Hunter stopped the video. There's hours more like this. Dad's been training Jackson since middle school, teaching him how to identity. Why are you revealing this to me? Because someone needs to stop them. Hunter's eyes held a combination of fear and hope. And after what occurred today, maybe someone finally will. Phoenix's phone vibrated. A message from Zara. Raven's mom just arrived. You need to witness this. They located a small crowd assembled near the main office. Through the glass doors, they could observe Raven sitting quietly while her mother paced, gesticulating frantically. Even from outside, they could hear fragments of the conversation. You promised me you wouldn't. 7 years of therapy. Your father wouldn't want. Violence is never... Raven's response was too soft to hear, yet her mother's reaction wasn't. The woman collapsed, weeping, clutching her daughter. She prohibited it. Hunter stated quietly, the training. After Raven's dad perished, Phoenix turned sharply. How do you know about that? Dad maintains files on every student, psychological profiles for his research. Raven's was comprehensive. Hunter's voice dropped. Her father was instructing her something called Systema, Russian military combat art. She commenced when she was 6. By 13, she was exceptional. Then there was an incident during training. She fractured 3 of her father's ribs with a single strike. He laughed it off, stated she was becoming too proficient. 3 months afterward, he perished in that vehicle accident. And her mother blamed the violence. Blamed everything. Hunter laughed bitterly. Relocated here from Seattle. Prohibited all martial arts. Attempted to transform Raven into someone else. Someone quiet, someone safe. I suppose it functioned, until today. The office door opened. Raven emerged with her mother, both with reddened eyes. Principal Morrison followed, appearing deeply uncomfortable. 3-day suspension, he announced to no one specifically. Pending further investigation. Raven's mother led her toward the parking lot, arm wrapped protectively around her daughter's shoulders. Yet just before they reached the doors, Raven turned back. Her eyes swept across the assembled students, lingering for just an instant on Phoenix and Hunter. In that brief instant, Phoenix observed something that made his breath catch. Not fear, not regret, not even satisfaction. It was recognition, the look of someone who'd finally remembered who they truly were. Later that evening, Phoenix sat in his chamber, laptop open, puzzle pieces spread across his screen. Marine training documentation, Systema technique videos, student complaints about Jackson that had mysteriously vanished. Dr. Reeves's published papers on behavioral modification. His phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? You're the new student, Phoenix. Not a question. Raven's voice was exactly what he'd anticipate. Quiet, controlled, precise. How did you obtain my number? You're not that difficult to locate. You've been researching all afternoon. Library computers, school Wi-Fi. You're not as subtle as you think. Phoenix felt a chill. You've been tracking me? I track everyone. It's safer that way. A pause. Why do you care what happened today? Because I've seen bullies before, but Jackson, he's something else. And what you did was necessary. Her voice held no emotion. He crossed a line. He's been crossing lines for years. But today he touched me. That was his mistake. The way you moved, that wasn't normal self-defense. Correct. It wasn't. Another pause. Longer this time. My father taught me that violence should always be the last resort. But when that moment comes, you don't hold back. You end it completely. Is that why you never fought back before? You were afraid of what you might do? I wasn't afraid. I was keeping a promise. To my mother, to myself, to stay buried. Her voice softened slightly. Do you know what it's like, Phoenix? To have a weapon inside you that you can never use? To watch people hurt others, hurt you, and know you could stop it in seconds, but choosing not to. Why today? What changed? He said my father's name. While his hand was... She stopped. When she spoke again, her voice was steel. My father died protecting people. Jackson turned his memory into a weapon against me. That warranted a response. Hunter showed me videos. His father? Dr. Reeves. I know about Dr. Reeves. I've been collecting evidence for 2 years. The revelation hit Phoenix like a slap. Every victim, every incident, every cover-up. I have it all. Then why didn't you? Because I was playing a longer game, waiting for the right moment. Today wasn't planned, but a sound that might have been a laugh. Sometimes the best strategies are the ones you don't make. What happens now? Now Jackson learns what it feels like to be powerless. His arm will heal eventually. The nerve damage might be permanent, but that's not what will break him. Her voice turned clinical, analytical. It's the fear. Every time he sees me, he'll remember those 2.3 seconds when he realized he wasn't the predator anymore. That's what will destroy him. Phoenix shivered. There was something terrifying about how calmly she discussed psychological destruction. You sound like his father. Perhaps. The difference is I only use these skills on those who deserve it. A pause. You have that video from Hunter, don't you? The one where Dr. Reeves explains his methods. How did you? I told you. I track everyone, upload it. Every platform, every social media site. Make sure to tag the state medical board and the news stations. Won't that hurt Hunter? Hunter wants his father stopped as much as I do. Why do you think he showed you that video? Her voice held a note of approval. You're not the only one who's been planning, Phoenix. The call ended, leaving Phoenix staring at his phone. He looked at the video file, then at his social media accounts. One click could destroy the Reeves family. Dr. Reeves's career. Vindicate years of victims. He thought about Zara's scar. About the 12 students who'd left Westfield. About Raven sitting alone for 3 years, enduring daily humiliation while sitting on skills that could have ended it instantly. Phoenix clicked upload. Within an hour, the video had 10,000 views. By midnight, it would have 100,000. By morning, Dr. Nathan Reeves would wake to find his career in flames. But Phoenix couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Raven McKnight had been content to remain a ghost for 3 years. Now that she'd shown her true face, what else had she been planning in the shadows? His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, different from Raven's. Tomorrow, cafeteria, noon, come alone. Z. Phoenix stared at the message. Z for Zara, or someone else. He thought about ignoring it. About staying out of whatever was brewing at Westfield Private Academy. But the image of Raven standing in that cafeteria, covered in sauce but radiating controlled power, wouldn't leave his mind. Tomorrow, then. Whatever was coming, he'd face it. The next morning, Westfield felt different. Phoenix noticed it the moment he walked through the doors. The usual chaos of teenage conversation had been replaced by hushed whispers and furtive glances. Everyone was watching everyone else, waiting for something to happen. Did you see the video? My mom says Dr. Reeves is being investigated. I heard Jackson's arm might never work right again. Someone said Raven's dad was like special forces or something. Phoenix made his way to his locker, hyper-aware of the eyes following him. Somehow, word had gotten out that he'd uploaded the video. In the span of 12 hours, he'd gone from invisible new kid to the center of Westfield's biggest scandal. Phoenix Delroy. He turned to find a girl he didn't recognize. Tall, athletic build, dark skin, natural hair pulled back in a tight bun. She wore the Westfield volleyball team jacket. I'm Skylar Washington. Team captain. She glanced around, then stepped closer. We need to talk about Raven. And about what's coming next. What do you mean, what's coming next? Skylar's expression was grim. You don't think Jackson was working alone, do you? He had a crew. 6 guys who've been backing him up for years. They're not happy about what happened yesterday. Are you threatening me? Warning you. She pulled out her phone, showing him a group chat. The messages made his stomach turn. Ghost Girl's going to pay. And that new kid who uploaded the video. My dad's lawyer says we can sue for assault. Forget lawyers. Handle this ourselves. They're planning something, Skylar said. For today, during lunch. Why are you telling me this? Because 3 years ago, Jackson went after my little sister. Freshman, just trying to make the team. He cornered her after practice. Said he could help her make varsity if she was nice to him. Skylar's hands clenched. I was going to handle it myself, but Raven stopped me. Said if I fought him, I'd lose my scholarship. She was right, so she knew, even back then. Raven knows everything, sees everything. She's been documenting every crime, every victim, every cover-up. Building a case that even Dr. Reeves couldn't make disappear. Skylar's smile was sharp. Yesterday wasn't her losing control. It was her pulling the trigger on a plan 3 years in the making. Phoenix's phone buzzed. The mysterious Z'd again. Change of plans. Music room, now. I have to go, he said. Skylar caught his arm. Be careful. Jackson's crew might be meatheads, but they're dangerous. And without Jackson to hold them back. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. The music room was empty except for a single figure sitting at the piano. Not Zara, someone Phoenix had seen around but never spoken to. a thin, nervous-looking kid with thick glasses and shaking hands. "You're Phoenix," the kid said without looking up. "I'm Ezra Jang. I'm the one who's been texting you." "Why sign it Z?" "Because if anyone saw my real name, they'd know." Ezra finally looked up, and Phoenix saw the fear in his eyes. "I'm the one who helped Raven collect evidence. I'm the reason she has access to the school's security system." "And now?" His voice cracked. "Now they know. Who knows? Jackson's crew. They figured it out. Someone saw me near the server room too many times." Ezra pulled up his sleeve, revealing fresh bruises. "This was just a warning. They said if I don't delete everything by noon today, we'll protect you," Phoenix said automatically. Ezra laughed bitterly. "We? You mean you?" "And what army?" "Raven's suspended. Skylar can't risk her scholarship, and the rest of the school is too scared to." The music room door slammed open. 3 of Jackson's crew stood in the doorway: Mason Brooks, Connor Riley, and Dakota Thompson. All seniors, all over 6 feet tall, all wearing matching sneers. Well, Mason drawled. "The hacker and the snitch." "How convenient." Phoenix stepped in front of Ezra instinctively. "Back off, or what?" Connor cracked his knuckles. "You gonna upload another video?" "Sorry, freshman, but that trick only works once." They advanced into the room, spreading out to block any escape. Phoenix's mind raced, calculating options. 3 against 2, and Ezra didn't look like much of a fighter. The music room was isolated. "No cameras, no witnesses. You know what your problem is?" Dakota said, focusing on Phoenix. "You came to our school and immediately picked the wrong side. Raven's done. Her psycho stunt yesterday just proved what we've been saying. She's unstable, dangerous, doesn't belong here. The only dangerous ones I see are standing right in front of me." Phoenix shot back. Mason laughed. "Brave words for someone about to learn what happens to snitches at Westfield." They moved closer. Phoenix grabbed a music stand, holding it like a weapon. Ezra cowered behind the piano. This was about to get ugly. Then the lights went out. Complete darkness. Phoenix heard movement, quick footsteps, a grunt of surprise, then a crash. Someone hitting the ground hard. Another impact. A scream of pain. The lights flickered back on. All 3 bullies were on the ground. Mason clutched his knee, moaning. Connor was unconscious. Dakota was trying to crawl toward the door, his nose streaming blood. Standing in the center of the room, calm as ever, was Raven McKnight. She wore all black, tactical pants, fitted shirt. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight braid. Without the baggy hoodie and hunched posture, Phoenix could see what 3 years of hiding had concealed. She was small, but perfectly balanced, every movement economical and precise. "Hello, boys," she said quietly. "I heard you were looking for me." Mason struggled to sit up, still clutching his damaged knee. You're supposed to be suspended. Suspended from classes?" Raven corrected, her voice eerily calm. "Not from protecting people who helped me." She glanced at Ezra, who stared at her with a mixture of awe and terror. "You okay?" Ezra nodded frantically, unable to form words. Phoenix lowered the music stand, his hands still shaking. "How did you—" "The lights. Every system in this school runs through the same network, including the electrical grid." Raven pulled out a small device from her pocket. "Ezra taught me well," Connor groaned, starting to regain consciousness. Raven crouched beside him, speaking softly but clearly. "You have 2 choices. Leave now and never touch Ezra or Phoenix again, or stay and find out what else I learned during those 3 years of silence." The threat in her voice was unmistakable. Connor scrambled to his feet, helping Mason up. Dakota was already at the door, nose still bleeding. "This isn't over," Mason spat, limping toward the exit. "No," Raven agreed. "It's not. But your part in it is." She held up her phone. "Everything that just happened is uploaded to a secure server. The assault, the threats, the conspiracy to harm other students. One more move against anyone under my protection, and it goes to the police. Not the school, not your parents, the actual police." The 3 bullies fled, their bravado shattered. Phoenix watched them go, then turned to Raven. "Under your protection?" "I've been protecting people for 3 years," she said, helping Ezra to his feet. "You just couldn't see it. Every time Jackson picked a new target, I made sure they had evidence. Every incident was documented. I couldn't fight, but I could build a case." "But you never used it," Ezra said, finding his voice. "You had enough to bury them all, but you just collected it. Because taking down Jackson wasn't enough. I needed his father, the source, Raven's eyes were distant, calculating. Dr. Reeves has been using this school as a testing ground, training his son, observing the results, refining his methods. How many schools across the country have similar experiments running? Phoenix felt cold. You think there are others? I know there are. Dr. Reeves publishes papers. He has colleagues, disciples. She turned to Ezra. Show him file 7-3. Ezra pulled out his laptop, fingers flying across the keyboard. A document appeared. Emails between Dr. Reeves and other psychiatrists discussing their behavioral modification programs in various private schools. 17 schools, Raven said quietly. 17 places where students like Jackson are being trained to be predators, where victims are being systematically broken. Her hands clenched. My father used to say that one person could make a difference if they chose the right moment to act. Yesterday was that moment, so the groping, his hand on your... Phoenix couldn't finish. Was the final piece of evidence I needed. Sexual assault on camera with 300 witnesses. Her smile was sharp. Even Dr. Reeves can't make that disappear. Phoenix's phone buzzed. The news alert made his jaw drop. Dr. Nathan Reeves arrested on charges of conspiracy and child endangerment. What? Ezra grabbed the phone, reading rapidly. Federal agents raided his office this morning. They found, oh my God, patient files detailing deliberate psychological manipulation of minors. Training materials for creating aggressive personalities. And he looked up, face pale. Videos. He was recording Jackson's sessions with victims. For research. Raven nodded, unsurprised. Hunter's been copying files from his father's home office for months. He gave them to me last week. I was waiting for the right trigger to release them. And my video of Jackson. Phoenix understood now. It wasn't just about exposing one conversation. It was about making people look deeper. Every scandal needs a spark, Raven confirmed. You provided it. The door burst open again. This time it was Skylar, breathless and wide-eyed. You need to see this. The cafeteria. Now, they found the cafeteria packed despite lunch being an hour away. Someone had set up a projector and videos were playing on loop. Not just yesterday's incident from multiple angles, but dozens of other recordings. Jackson pouring milk on a freshman, shoving a sophomore into lockers. The assault on Zara that had supposedly never happened. Who's doing this? Phoenix asked. We are. A girl stepped forward, sophomore, usually quiet. One of Jackson's past victims. Raven gave us the courage. Now we're showing everyone the truth. More students spoke up. Each had a story. Each had evidence that Raven had helped them preserve. The quiet girl who'd spent 3 years being humiliated hadn't been passive. She'd been building an army. Principal Morrison appeared, face red, trying to shut down the impromptu assembly. This is unauthorized. Everyone back to... Sit down, Morrison. The voice came from the entrance. A woman in a severe suit walked in, flanked by 2 other officials. I'm Agent Sarah Chen, FBI. We'll be conducting interviews regarding the systematic abuse at this institution. Morrison's face went from red to white. I don't understand. We've always handled disciplinary matters internally, which is part of the problem. Agent Chen turned to address the room. Anyone who's been victimized or witnessed abuse, we need to speak with you. And whoever compiled this evidence, her eyes swept the crowd. You've done extraordinary work. Raven stayed in the shadows, but Phoenix saw the slightest smile cross her face. By afternoon, Westfield Private Academy was in chaos. News vans surrounded the building. Parents demanded answers. The board of directors held an emergency meeting, and through it all, Raven McKnight remained suspended. Technically not even supposed to be on campus. Phoenix found her on the roof. Apparently, she had access to everywhere in the school. She sat on the edge, legs dangling, watching the circus below. Quite a show, he said, sitting beside her. 3 years in the making. She pulled out her father's dog tags, running her thumb over the embossed letters. He would have done it differently. Direct action, immediate justice. But I'm not him. No, Phoenix agreed. You're scarier. That earned him a real laugh. Short, but genuine. Jackson thought fear was about physical dominance. His father thought it was about psychological control. They were both wrong. She looked at him. Real fear is knowing someone sees everything you do, remembers every cruelty, and waits. What happens now? Now, Raven stood stretching like a cat. Now the dominoes fall. Dr. Reeves's network collapses. The schools get investigated. The victims get justice. You what? She turned away from the edge, facing him fully. For the first time, she looked like a regular teenager, tired, uncertain, human. I don't know, she admitted. For 3 years, this plan kept me going. Kept me from, she touched her temple, from letting the training take over, from becoming what my mother feared I'd become. A weapon? A monster. The word hung between them. Do you know what it's like to hurt someone so badly they never fully recover? I was 13 when I put my father in the hospital. Training accident, he said. But I saw his face, the moment of fear when he realized his little girl could kill him. But you didn't, and you held back for 3 years here. Until yesterday, she flexed her right hand. 2.3 seconds. That's all it took to destroy someone. Jackson will need surgery. Multiple surgeries. The nerve damage means he'll never have full use of that arm. No more sports. No more physical intimidation. I didn't just beat him. I crippled him. Phoenix studied her face. Do you regret it? No. The answer came immediately. He earned every second of pain, but she sat back down. My father once told me that the hardest part of being a warrior isn't learning to fight. It's learning when not to. I spent 3 years not fighting, and then, in 2.3 seconds, I proved my mother right. Violence is in my blood. You protected people. You got justice for victims. I got revenge. She cut him off. Don't pretty it up. What I did to Jackson wasn't about protection. It was about punishment, and I enjoyed it. Her voice dropped. That's what scares me. Not that I hurt him, but that it felt right. They sat in silence, watching the chaos below. FBI agents escorted boxes of evidence from the administrative offices. Principal Morrison was led away in handcuffs. Apparently, he'd been taking bribes to ignore the abuse. Parents shouted at news cameras. Students hugged each other, finally free to speak their truths. My mom's transferring me, Raven said eventually. Another school. Another state. Start fresh where nobody knows what I can do. Running away. Strategic retreat. She almost smiled. But first, there's something else. She stood again, checking her phone. Lunch should be interesting today. Phoenix followed her back inside, where the cafeteria had been transformed into a makeshift celebration. Someone had brought speakers. Music played, not loud but present. Students who'd never spoken to each other were sharing stories, bonding over survived trauma. Raven walked through the crowd like a ghost, unnoticed despite being the catalyst for everything. She approached a corner table where Zara sat alone, still wearing her cafeteria uniform. Thank you, Raven said simply. Zara looked up, tears in her eyes. For what? I never helped you. Never stood up for you. You survived. That was enough. Raven sat down. And you warned others. Saved them from what happened to you. That's heroism. I was a coward. You were 17 and traumatized. Jackson broke your arm. His father made sure you couldn't get justice. But you stayed. Kept working here. Kept watching. How many freshmen did you steer away from him? How many warnings did you give? Zara's tears fell freely now. At least a dozen, maybe more. Then you saved at least a dozen people from trauma. That's not cowardice. That's quiet courage. Raven stood. The FBI will want to talk to you. Tell them everything. Show them the scar. Make sure it counts. As she walked away, Phoenix saw others watching her, some with gratitude, some with awe, many with fear. The ghost girl had become something else entirely. Hero, avenger, monster, all at once. Hunter Reeves waited by the exit, looking lost. His brother hospitalized. His father arrested. His world destroyed. I'm sorry, he said as Raven approached. For what? For benefiting from it. For being safe because Jackson focused on others. His voice cracked. For not stopping it sooner. Raven studied him. You're 14. He's your brother. Your father was your father. You did what you could. It wasn't enough. No, she agreed. But it was something. The videos you recorded, the evidence you gathered, that took courage. You risked everything to do what's right. What happens to me now? You choose, Raven said simply. Your mother's family in California wants you to move there. Fresh start. Good schools. No connection to your father's work. Or you stay here. Face the anger. Work to make amends. Either choice is valid. What would you do? Raven considered. I'd run. But I'm not brave like you. Hunter laughed bitterly. You just took down a conspiracy spanning 17 schools. You're calling me brave? I hid for 3 years. You stood up to your father while living under his roof. Yes, you're braver. She moved past him, then paused. Whatever you choose, don't let his shadow define you. You're not him. Outside, Phoenix caught up with her. That was kind. It was necessary. Hunter's not responsible for his family's crimes. She checked her phone again. 15 minutes until the announcement. What announcement? Instead of answering, she led him to the main hallway where a crowd was already gathering. The principal's secretary, looking deeply uncomfortable, stood at a makeshift podium. Attention, students, she began, voice shaking. Due to recent events, Westfield Private Academy will be closing for a full investigation. All students will receive transfer credits to the school of their choice. Counseling services will be available. And, she paused, consulting her notes. The board wishes to apologize for the systematic failures that allowed abuse to flourish. Effective immediately, all disciplinary records related to the incidents under investigation are expunged. The crowd erupted. Some cheered. Others cried. 3 years of suppressed emotion finally had an outlet. Raven turned to go, but Phoenix caught her arm. Wait, this is your moment. You should what? Give a speech? Accept thanks? She shook her head. That's not who I am. I'm not a hero, Phoenix. I'm just someone who couldn't watch anymore. You saved people. I saved myself. The honesty in her voice was brutal. Everything else was collateral benefit. She walked away, and this time, Phoenix let her go. Around him, students were making plans. Which schools to transfer to, whether to stay in touch, how to heal. The Westfield era was ending, and something new would begin. 2 hours later, Phoenix stood in the parking lot with Ezra and Skylar, watching the last news van pull away. Think we'll ever see her again? Ezra asked. No, Skylar said with certainty. She's not the type for reunions. Phoenix wasn't so sure. He'd seen something in Raven's eyes during their rooftop conversation. Not just pain or anger, but possibility. For 3 years, she'd been the ghost girl, defined by silence and victimhood. Now she had a chance to be something else. His phone buzzed. Unknown number, but he recognized the pattern. Thank you for the spark. Take care of them. He showed it to the others. Skylar smiled sadly. Typical. Even saying goodbye, she's giving orders. Good orders, Ezra said. We should start a support group for survivors at whatever schools we end up at. The Westfield Network, Skylar suggested. Make sure what happened here helps others. Phoenix pocketed his phone, looking back at the school one last time. In 48 hours, everything had changed. A bully destroyed, a conspiracy exposed, lives altered forever, and at the center of it all, a quiet girl with deadly skills who'd chosen the perfect moment to stop being a ghost. 3 months later, Phoenix sat in his new school's cafeteria, watching for signs of trouble. It had become habit, scanning for bullies, victims, the subtle dynamics of power and fear. You're doing it again, his friend Marcus noted. The paranoid thing, not paranoid, prepared. Phoenix had learned the difference from Raven. Paranoia was fear of what might happen. Preparation was readiness for what would. His phone chimed. The Westfield Network chat was active. 63 members now, spread across 20 schools. They shared warning signs, supported each other, made sure the lessons of Westfield weren't forgotten. Skylar had posted, 2-month anniversary. Everyone check in. The responses flooded in. Ezra was thriving at a tech-focused school. Zara had started college early, studying social work. Hunter had moved to California, joined a youth advocacy group. Even some of Jackson's former crew had joined, working to make amends. Phoenix typed his update, then hesitated. There was one name never mentioned in the chat. One person whose absence was felt but not acknowledged. He opened a different app, one Ezra had helped him encrypt, a single message thread. Sporadic contact over 3 months. The network's growing, he typed. Your legacy. Hours later, a response. Not my legacy, theirs. I just opened the door. Where are you? A long pause. Then, learning to be human again, Phoenix smiled. Somewhere out there, Raven McKnight was finding her way. Not as the ghost girl, not as the weapon, but as herself. It was enough. He closed the app and rejoined his friends, carrying her lessons with him. Watch, document, protect. And when the moment comes, don't hesitate. The ghost of Westfield had become something more. A guardian angel for those who needed protection. A reminder that even the quietest voice could roar. And sometimes 2.3 seconds could change everything. Epilogue. The dojo was small, tucked between a bookstore and a coffee shop in downtown Portland. Most people walked past without noticing the discreet sign, Safe Space Self-Defense. Inside, 15 teenagers moved through basic defensive stances. Their instructor demonstrated each movement with precision, patience, and something that might have been kindness. "Remember," Raven said, adjusting a student's guard position, "this isn't about winning fights. It's about ending them. Getting safe. Getting away." She'd cut her hair shorter, dyed it auburn. Contacts changed her eye color from dark brown to hazel. Small changes, but enough. The ghost girl of Westfield was gone. In her place stood someone new, not entirely comfortable yet, but trying. "Miss Ray?" A nervous freshman raised her hand. "What if they're bigger? Stronger?" Raven smiled, still a rare occurrence, but less so than before. "Size is physics. Physics can be redirected. Let me show you." She called up her assistant instructor, a mountain of a man who towered over her 5'4" frame. In seconds, she demonstrated 3 ways to break his grip, escape his reach, use his size against him. The students watched with the same awe Phoenix had shown that day in the music room. "Questions? Have you ever had to use this for real?" another student asked. The room went quiet. Raven considered her answer carefully. "Once. Someone hurt people I cared about. I stopped them." She paused. "But the real victory was the 3 years I didn't fight. The 3 years I found other ways to protect people. Violence is a tool, but it should never be your first choice." After class, she checked her phone. The Westfield network had grown to over 300 members across 42 schools. They'd prevented 8 major incidents, helped countless victims find support, created real change. Her mother had finally stopped calling every day, trusting that teaching self-defense wasn't the same as becoming a weapon. Dr. Reeves was serving 25 years. Jackson had quietly transferred to a therapeutic boarding school after his 3rd surgery, and Phoenix still sent updates, maintaining their strange friendship across the distance. "The network saved someone today," his latest message read. "A kid in Detroit. Saw the warning signs because of your documentation methods. Stopped it before it started." Raven typed back, "Their victory, not mine." "You really believe that?" She looked around the dojo, her dojo bought with the settlement money from Westfield. Watched her students practicing, growing stronger, more confident. Thought about all the ghosts who'd found their voices because one stayed silent until the perfect moment. "I'm starting to," she replied. And for the first time in years, she meant it.